Are we doing this? We're doing this. Okay, we're going to have another stream of conscious video where I talk to you in a voiceover about a topic while we watch on screen some footage of a drawing that I have recently done. This one's a little recent-ish. I drew this as my first kind of test drawing in Clip Studio when I very first got it and I didn't know how to use it. I'm drawing my character Caitlin from my webtoon. It's going to look kind of different from the final design that you guys are used to seeing, so that'll be fun. And once I finish this headshot, we're going to then try to do a comic page. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, what are we talking about today? I wanted to make a video about what to do as a content creator when you are not one of the social media giants. And this goes for both general creators and for comic artists or for illustrators or animators, whatever it is that is your niche, whatever it is that is your passion. And I think it's really valuable to talk about these things out loud because sometimes we need to touch base with ourselves and recalibrate and sort of come back to a grounded understanding of what it is that we are doing so we don't maybe drive ourselves a little bit crazy. And perhaps the best place to start is with this acknowledgement here that most creators aren't going to be the social media giants. And that is not failure. It is the norm. And it is so simple and yet so mind-blowing when you really embrace that truth and sit with it for a minute. Have we embraced it? Okay, now let's unpack that. Being a small or mid-sized creator isn't really like a punishment, even though sometimes we internalize it as if it were. The truth is the internet is a really crowded place, and in some ways that can be great because that's an opportunity for you to reach a lot of people. But, you know, other side of the same coin is that there's a lot of people that you're competing with, and it's really easy to get caught up in the rat race, looking for the best thumbnails, the best hook, the best topics to catch the trends as they are beginning instead of being late to the party. All of that can lead to feelings of frustration, of failure, and feel overwhelming and not what you originally began your content journey for. You wanted to focus on something else, and the algorithm sort of took over your brain. However, there is a plus side to this, and it's not that I have the secret sauce. Clearly I don't. You can look right under this video at the number next to my name and see how many subscribers I have. The upside of being a small to mid-sized creator is that you have an enormous amount of creative freedom that sometimes a social media giant who is locked in to their formula and their kind of shtick don't have. You're still in the process of finding what that is for you, and that is a really good place to be, and I want you to enjoy the freedom that comes with that. I want it to be a positive experience, not a downtrodden one, and I'm saying this as much for you as I am for myself. Recently, I was doom scrolling like you do, and I saw a post that said 100 followers on social media feels so pitiful until you think about standing in a room in front of 100 people who are giving you their attention. And that really does shift the perception. We're so influenced by these big numbers that we see these big creators have that we sometimes forget to appreciate the big numbers that we as small creators have. 100 views is still a lot of people watching my video. And remembering that, thinking about like sitting in a theater with 100 seats and every seat is filled is the kind of mental shift that we need to do for ourselves so that we can really appreciate the success that we're not seeing that we have. That said, there are still other benefits to being a small creator, and that is being able to respond to comments meaningfully because it is a manageable volume of comments to respond to. Building your creator-to-reader relationships, especially as a comic artist, or if you're an author as an author, somebody who has a story to tell. pivoting your art and your story without people coming for you with torches and pitchforks if you decide to change your style that they fell in love with. This is a big one in my opinion. Being able to post irregularly without experiencing like a huge fall off. If you have a really small but loyal viewership, a lot of times they will be patient with you, especially if you are a new or small creator. They will treat you less like a business and more like an individual, and so there is grace there. Most of what I just mentioned has a lot to do with your accountability as a creator to your audience. And if the audience is smaller, the amount of people you have to appease is also smaller. So instead of talking about the benefits any further, let's go ahead and define what success looks like for the average creator who is not a social media giant. Small creators can still successfully finish projects. It doesn't matter even if you have a lot of engagement for those projects. As long as you feel passionate about it, you push through and stay on top of your work. There is no board that you have to convince to keep your project greenlit. It is yours to do at your leisure and to complete at your own pace. Another opportunity that you have as a small creator to be successful is consistently improving in your craft. Celebrate every level up. That is success. Even if it's not monetized, it is still something you should be very proud of. That doesn't mean that you cannot monetize your work if you are a small or mid-sized creator. Monetization is still an option, and there are multiple ways to do it. Some people join the YouTube Partner Program and get AdSense. Sometimes folks will set up their own personal store to sell merch from their channel, and if they are a arts and crafts type channel, maybe they will sell physical items that they have made. And one of my favorite measures of success as a creator, whether you are one of the massive creators, one of the mediums, one of the smalls, doesn't matter. It's just that feedback from outside perspectives, being able to read comments, to see people interacting with your work, it makes you feel actualized. And it's like that philosophical saying, if a tree falls in a forest, does it make a sound? Sometimes when you create something, it doesn't feel real until somebody acknowledges it. And being a content creator, even though it's hard work to format your other work for social media, it gives you that last piece that you really need to feel like your work is real, that it exists, that you've put something into the world, and that is having it realized by someone else. It really does just kind of authenticate it. It makes it feel official, and I think that's why we care so much about feeling validated by other people when it comes to our creations. And so if you've completed that step, you've already succeeded. That said, I just want to create a quick little caveat here, like a sidebar. If you're putting your work out there into the internet and it just feels like you're not getting a ton of feedback, please remember that just because people aren't loudly reacting doesn't mean that they're not reading, looking, or relating to your content. And people can be changed by your art without ever telling you. Some people are just really shy and really quiet and really private people. I have also prepared some very practical tips and recommendations or strategies for smaller content creators who do want to see growth, who are still trying to build their brand and identity. But before we get into that, I do want to take a moment to talk about comics specifically. I am a comic creator. My channel is geared toward comic art. So for my comic creators, my peers, the truth is most webtoons don't blow up, but many do quietly gain these long-term loyal readers. And like the 100 viewers in a theater with 100 seats, if you have 100 readers that show up for every new installment, You have found your true fans. And that's what you really want, right? You want a reader who is going to come back for your next installment after each update. Same thing with creating videos. If you're creating videos and you have 1,000 subscribers, but each time you update a new video, 800 of the subscribers don't click on the notification. They don't go watch the video, or they don't go read the new chapter of your webcomic. The thing you're going to be most excited for are going to be your true fans, the ones who come back for each new update and who are following your journey, and they're following your progress, and they're supporting your work. As your typical creator, myself, I'm speaking for myself, as your small, passion project, side gig, hobbyist creator, the most rewarding thing for me when I'm creating my art, when I'm writing or illustrating or publishing a new chapter of my story, is seeing it be read. I care a lot about this story. This story makes me happy. I've been wanting to share it because I think it's fun. I think it's a fun story. And no matter how many people show up for it, I'm excited for everyone, especially when they leave comments. If I have 5 people read my most recently published chapter, I feel satisfied that my story reached 5 people. And I didn't pay them to check my work, to review my work. You know what I mean? So it's like having a board game night with your friends, and the same friends always come through. They enjoy hanging out with you. They have shared interest. And so it's fun to connect over those things. And connecting with other people when you're doing something as solo as creating art, or if you're a content creator in another niche, just creating videos and shouting into the void, that connection is so rewarding and kind of the point. So let's go ahead and get into some practical strategies for non-giants in the social media arena. First of all, we've all heard, try to stay consistent with your frequency, whether that's posting once a week or 2 times a month, whatever it is you've been told. But as a small content creator, your consistency should be less about frequency and more about the quality. And I'm going to be very honest with you, I struggle with this piece of advice myself. My quality is all over the place, and as small creators, we do have that grace, like we talked about earlier, to change things up, to experiment, to try different things. But as you start to really hone in on your craft, you want to try focusing on the quality of your work, and the less you have to wrestle with that as you start to get it down, the more you can shift your focus toward the frequency and focusing on being more consistent in that area. And as you're figuring out what your flavor is, what you're trying to create consistently, focus on what is most natural for you. I know everybody's already said this, so I'm not going to harp on it, but authenticity ages well, and the algorithms always change. So just do your best to be true to yourself. And when it's the right time, it's the right time, and that's when you will shine. That said, don't go comparing your chapter 5 to somebody else's chapter 200. And I'm not just talking about comics. With content creation in general, don't look at whoever your favorite YouTuber is that has a couple million subscribers and compare your 5th video or even your 50th video to their 200th video. Make sure that you are being realistic with yourself, that you are being patient so that you can find your stride. And remember, not everybody is going to be a social media giant. It's okay for the rest of the community to exist as a small or mid-sized creator. That is the standard. You are the standard when it comes to content creation. Just think about that for a moment. Most creators live in the middle. They're not invisible, they're not giants, and this is where we find are diversity, and everybody wants a little diversity on their content. That's why we're constantly browsing for new content to consume. There are plenty of pros and cons to living in the spotlight, but you don't need a spotlight to be a successful content creator. Sometimes you just need a tiny campfire where the right people can gather. And that brings me to my last piece of advice, which is taking advantage of platforms you can control, such as Discord, newsletters, Patreon, etc. I hope this video was helpful for you. If so, please make sure to like and subscribe and check out some of my other videos.